Be with us. Now, let's quickly check some news highlights on this network. Now, Ghana loses thousands of cedis through axle load manipulation and inconsistency in calibrations. Truck drivers are able to overload transit vehicles and escape acceptable calibrations with the aid of security officials. So these drivers will simply overload their vehicles and yet manage to escape being punished. The Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD, has condemned recent comments by the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Boakye, on gay rights. Now, speaking on the sidelines of the 10th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Award, the Executive Director for the Center, Professor Boakye, said the comment contradicted the Constitution. The Speaker of Parliament has been talking about gay rights and how Ghana can do that, but they said that that is wrong. The Forestry Commission has called on the military and the police for assistance to curb the influx of illegal miners in the Odo Forest Reserve in the Amati Central District of the Ashanti region. Officials from the Forestry Commission in Boakye district say the situation has reached uncontrolled levels with the destruction of water bodies, aquatic life, as well as plant life that have been worsened. That's the story there from the Amati West. And this is a story that will be running the whole day on TV3. Akani Ayini Ebenezer. He is from the Navrongo Senior High School in the Upper East region. Now, check out what this guy has done. He scored all 8 A's in the subjects in the 2017 West African Senior High School Certificate Examination. We're told that he beat the record holder, Honorable John Indebugre, who is an old student of the school. The guy on the screens there scored 8 A's. Indebugre had 7 A's and a B. That is how far this guy has gone. We're trying to help him get to the medical school to study medicine. We'll tell you more about that later on. Akani Ayini Ebenezer was part of the team that represented Navrongo Senior High School in this year's National Science and Maths Quiz Competition. We have more on that later on. On the international front tonight, Israeli embassy in the Jordanian capital Amman has been attacked with casualties reported. A heavily protected embassy is located in the Ribaya neighborhood, an affluent part of Amman. Media reports citing security sources say one Jordanian was killed and one Israeli seriously injured. Israeli authorities are believed to have evacuated the embassy staff before that incident happened. We'll tell you more about that issues later, but let's start from here. Over 500,000 small-scale miners from mining communities across Ghana are to be engaged and incorporated into the government's yet to be rolled out multilateral mining integrated project. This came up during a national stakeholders validation workshop on the multilateral mining integrated project at Takwa in the Western region.
We have identified areas that we're going to start the reclamation. As I speak to you now, the areas have identified. Unfortunately, in some of those areas, the mercury content is very high. But as a country, we don't have a mercury policy. And so what minimum allowable mercury do we have before we cover the place? I mean, that is some issues that we are discussing. They are international standard. And so we are going to use at least a bit above the international standard as an allowable so that those areas that the mercury content is quite low, we can cover them.
We have various ways we think that we should do. Government must give some development GOC. We are estimating about $30 million US. We think that the development partners should take about 50%, about $75 million US. And so we have things like that. We're going to have PPP arrangements. We're going to have also some other fundraising activities and so on, because we think that everybody must get on board. That is why it's called PAID, Project Appraisal Implementation Document. PAID, you have paid for it.
So this is part of government's effort at curbing illegal mining. Let me quickly get onto the lines there and speak to Emmanuel Yerenchi. Yerenchi Entry, he's the Director of Operations, Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. He's joining me on Skype tonight. We'll talk about that issue. Ima, grateful for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Ima, let's start from here. It's a very delicate issue, but we can start from here. Government is saying that, look, I'm taking all of you from what you're doing. I want to streamline it and make sure that you do the right thing. You people are happy about it?
Well, for starters, I mean, I've been saying this on your set, but anything illegal, the association don't stand for it. And we were working, I mean, under the laws of this land, and then we're being regulated by the Minerals Commission. Mind you that the same Minerals Commission regulates the large-scale companies as well. But then if government feels that there's a need to streamline even the licensed ones, well, who are we to protest? I mean, anything that will help the mining industry develop so that we can mine in more environmentally friendly and sustainable manner, we are for it.
Okay.
We are for it. Yes.
Okay, Emma. So government is talking about the multilateral mining integrated project. You know about it?
Oh, yes. In fact, I was at the launch this Wednesday. And, you know, there's something interesting about the document. You see, the document has actually compiled almost 6 years' work of various stakeholders in the mining sector. It's a good document, except that the association has some reservations about the way it's going to be implemented. You know, the association is very much concerned about sustainability.
Let me cut you in. What reservations do you have?
Yes, our reservation is how the project is going to be implemented. You know, we feel that for the ministry to set up a whole organization to manage the project for 5 years is not sustainable. We already have Minerals Commission. They can be strengthened to implement this document without necessarily setting up a different entity to manage it. Because if we set up that entity to manage it, in our own view, we feel that it is going to weaken the already state institutions and agencies that are basically responsible for this. And then again, if there should be a change of minister from that sector, what is going to happen to the project? Because maybe the minister will come and say that, look, I want to implement EMMIP, effective MMIP. If there should be a third minister, he might say that I want to implement VEMMIP, very effective MMIP. Or if there should be a change of government, they can just throw everything away. So our concern is we want the ministry to integrate this with already existing agencies and commissions in the sector. And that is our reservation. Apart from that, it's a very wonderful idea, and we want to support it as an association.
That is not to say that, Ima, that you think that this project or this particular government arrangement is not sustainable. Is that what you think? It cannot be sustained?
Not at all. It can't be sustained. I mean, let's just be frank with ourselves. The honorable minister is not going to be at office forever, and then the NPP will not be in power forever. So whatever we are doing, we should be mindful of the future. Other than that, the small-scale miners are going to be the losers at the end of the day, because if any government comes in and wants to implement a project, what is going to happen to us? But we have already existing state institutions and commissions. They can be strengthened, they can be restructured or whatever. They should do it, so that at the end of the day, whoever comes in comes to continue what has been started. Projects can easily be thrown off when there's a change of government or change of minister. It can easily be thrown off.
I see.
So that is our major concern.
Let's quickly look at this. It was a month since government says that we're clamping down on illegal mining. From where you sit, this has been achieved.
No, you see, the fight against illegal mining it's a tough one, and the association have been fighting this before the media came in, and then the government is also supporting it. It's a very good thing, but then it cannot be won in a short while. It is a tough fight, and together with integrated stakeholders coming together, synergizing their efforts to tackle this menace, and not just tackling it by sending people home, but rather giving them a meaningful livelihood, either in the mining sector or in equally economically beneficial ventures.
Government has that process in line. Government says it is looking at alternative livelihoods for miners. So this project should work from where you sit, or you don't think it can work?
You see, it can work, but we are concerned about the sustainability of the project. That is why we are saying that setting up a whole entity to manage it is not the way forward. It is not.
What is the way forward for you? Let me pick you on this.
Yes, the way forward is to use already existing agencies and commissions, strengthen them to implement it, and possibly with the association also monitoring it. That way we can sustain it. Other than that, if we are not careful, and then we go by this way, the next time we have another minister who comes in and says that, look, the MMIP, we feel like we should improve it here, so maybe let us do EMMIP, effective MMIP. If you had a third minister and he says, oh, look, the way things are going,
so Ima, you're saying that
EMMIP.
Ima, you're saying that even the Interministerial Committee on Mining cannot work? Is that what you're saying?
What we are saying is we need a sustainable solution, a solution that can last, that can help develop our industry. The small-scale mining sector is not any mean sector that we should be juggling with projects like this. We should make sure that institutions that are mandated by law to develop this sector are empowered and are structured well to do it, so that we can ensure continuity. Other than that, we are joking.
Emmanuel, I'm grateful for your time tonight. Emmanuel Urienchi, Entry Director of Operations, Ghana National Association of Small Scale Miners, talking to me there about this issue of illegal mining. Grateful. We'll talk to you more about that later on. But let's now take a break. When we come back, don't go away yet, because the Electoral Commission is boiling. That's how I would describe it. And it's boiling because the EC chairperson is making allegations, deputy commissioner is making allegations. Exactly how do we get the commission to work? Stay with us. We're back in a moment. We're grateful for your time tonight. Now, let's check some issues with the Electoral Commission. The chairperson of that commission, Madam Charlotte, says Deputy Chairperson Georgina Pokuamankwa illegally signed contracts worth over 40 million cedis without her approval. Now, she said this was contained in a response to several allegations that were leveled against her by concerned staff of the commission, who have cited, among other allegations, of financial malfeasance. She didn't end there. We're told also that another commissioner, deputy commissioner, Amati Sule, is also have taken some money, 6 million cedis, from political parties. Exactly what does this mean for the commission? The commission that organizes Ghana's elections. We'll try and find out tonight. Now let's speak to a senior lecturer and head of department for public administration and health services management of the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Justice Boakye. He says, join me on Skype. Dr. Boakye, grateful for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me, Hamida.
Let's start from here. This is the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Is the commission in turmoil? Is that how you describe it?
Well, short of sounding alarmist, I will not say it in turmoil, but certainly if the events that are unfolding are anything to go by, I think that we will need to take a critical look at the Electoral Commission. This is a very yes, please.
What do you mean by critical look at?
Well, as I was going to say, this is a very critical national institution, an institution that borders on the very essence of our democracy, and you would expect that as a public institution that actually puts so much pressure on politicians to play according to the rules that it sets for them. You would expect that this commission would play by the rules as well. As a public institution, not long ago we saw the kind of rule application that politicians were called to, where politicians got their forms rejected and thrown out and stuff like that. And so you would expect that in all of its dealings, it would execute their functions or the functions of the commission with some level of professionalism and as required by the public administrative systems that govern them.
I see. The majority leader of government parliament is saying that what is happening there is a power play among leaders of the commission. You share in that view?
Well, I think the power play is a major issue, but I am particularly surprised at the posture of the actors in there. The reason why we don't have an executive director for the Electoral Commission and we have a commission headed by a chairperson and deputy chairs, you would understand that it calls for a certain level of operation, which is that the commissioner herself will not execute functions as it were an executive director position that she occupies.
Right.
And so you would anticipate that the way they deal with issues would be as every committee, or if you like, commission would behave, where decisions will be arrived at by consensus and stuff like that. But for me, the most important thing is not just that these have come up and we are looking at it, but if you were to look at some of the issues that are being raised by these very actors, you should perhaps be suspected that they have been systematic flouting of the rules that govern the work of the Electoral Commission, many of which border on a number of very important things. For example, issues of procurement are extremely important for the Electoral Commission's work. There are issues that are raised about the registration of voters without recourse to the procedures that are outlined and stuff like that. There are indications that there are flagrant abuse, or if you like, disregard for public procurement rules and stuff like that. These are public officers. We are told that they travel without permission and stuff like that. And these should point us to some very serious issues that are happening there. And as I said, we need to take a very critical look at the Electoral Commission.
I see. Dr. Boakye, let's stay on this one. Some have argued that, so if the EC chairperson had not been indicted in these allegations by staff, she wouldn't have told us that the deputy commissioner, one of them, is signed a 40 million contract without her approval, and that another deputy commissioner has taken 6 million cedis from political parties for primaries. So if staff had not risen up against her, she wouldn't have said that. So her integrity at stake?
Well, you put the question right as it should. If she asserts some authority on the work of the commission, for which reason she makes claims that some decisions were taken without her approval and that people traveled without her approval and stuff like that, what it means is that she is assuming a certain authority, a certain position in there. And if you assume that position to say that you are the overall boss, what it means is that immediately all the officers, or if you like, the responsibilities of what happens there, then would immediately fall on top of your desk. And so if is it the first time she's heard about these issues? Do those issues just came up because people raised issues against her? Did she know about these? We have finished the election and it's been 6 months and over now. What has she done about those things? I guess that there have been some reports and some of them have been asked to proceed on leave or whatever. But were these issues that she thought were important and should be discussed? And as you said, I mean, this is a very critical question that we must have to pose. But be it as it may, if it's a commission that acts in concert with all of the people who are there, or if it's a commission that has a chairperson who has authority to direct how the others behave and to question the subordination or insubordination of the other commissioners and deputies, then as well, she has to be responsible for the kind of things that happened. Of course, it doesn't mean that the individuals who were particularly involved in this case, if these allegations are true, will not be culpable. But what it does is that it also points to you that you probably didn't do your work well, and that's why these things happen without your knowledge. I understand that she just took over from there 6 months ago. When she took over, it was run up to the election, and so there could have been a lot of things. And typically that would happen. When you take over as head of an institution with deputies who have been acting for a long time, they would have to brief you and bring you up to speed with the events that occur there. But that is actually also one of the things that raises its head in this conversation. What is the relationship between the commissioner, the chairperson, and her deputies? Could also be a matter to be interrogated in this case.
All right, I'm grateful. Dr. Justice Boakye is a senior lecturer and head of Department for Public Administration and Health Services Management, University of Ghana Business School. Grateful for your time tonight on that issue. It's a developing story. Certainly we'll tell you more about that later on. But let's jump into this one because it will excite you. When was the last time you saw veteran actor Mark Jordan Amati on your TV screens? We're wondering where he's been all these years. TV3's entertainment guru, Owusu, has located a veteran actor affectionately called Sugar Daddy, who lost his right limb to diabetes. Let's watch this.
That young man, Kojo, seems to be frequenting this house too much.
But of course it's of age. Don't you want her to enter into marriage?
Chicken grows into hen before laying eggs.
He was a key part of the impressive list of trailblazers who made watching Ghanaian movies fun and a force to reckon with on the continent. The gifted actor Mark Jordan Amati was a delight to watch, not only for his impeccable English and funny gestures, but also for admirably delivering his lines with ease and much finesse.
Come here and change. Stop it, boy.
Having him in your movie, you were sure of having a very impressive patronage, and Ghanaians loved his act. He delivered his lines with act. And so basically we've been wondering where he's been for a long time now. We've not seen him on the screens. So TV3 Entertainment, we decided to go and look for the one-time star actor, Mark Jordan Richardson Amati. So let's go.
Mark J. What say? Yeah, he's guy or rules. Oh, hi. See you. Well, you're doing well. You're doing well. You're doing well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we'll go out and continue with the chat.
Okay, you do that. Okay. Hey, get Ogusu. Yeah.
Sugar Daddy, as he is affectionately called, was the star actor in the 80s and early 90s. Not casting him usually spelled doom for patronage.
Man sold like hotcake. Man sold like hotcake. Whoever wants to produce a film We want Jordan Amati to take part. We want Jordan.
He carved exciting terms that later became accolades.
And a lot of people also know you for your quarrels, small quarrels with Grace Norty.
When the two of us meet, it's a bottle, it's a tea. Wanna, would you wine? Would you wine? Grace, free me so. Free me so. Namin called diary. A condemning. That's it.
But in 2012, the celebrated actor tragically lost his right leg to diabetes. At age 81, his condition has been a major stumbling block to his career.
I wept and wept and wept and wept. Sorrow to the realms of government. And there was nothing. Sobbing, tears running down my cheeks, my Jordan losing a leg. Don't let me think of those days. They are gonna pass. Forget about it.
But his appetite for acting is still alive.
I can still act, provided I'm made to sit. Sometimes I watch something and I wish I were the one doing it. I could have done it this way or that way and all that. But for my leg, I could have continued to be acting because the Lord has given me that life and He hasn't taken it.
It currently feels uncomfortable walking in the prosthetics he's been using for the last 5 years.
The issue with this one is that if you step on the ground, you're not able to have the balance.
The leg lands on the floor of the ground, and I have to sort of try to kneel this way before it will set equally. But if I walk generally like this, I have the heel, the standing, and it's in the form of a pivot or something. It turns me round.
Perhaps getting a foreign artificial leg will help him wage a comeback.
And of course, our old guys, they're getting ready to be part of society. They help them, support them, give them all the encouragement. We're grateful that you stayed to be part of the show. Those of you who watched us from the country and beyond, thanks so much for staying there on News at 10. My guys in the studio, Christopher Soa, Virtue Ameto, Sami and Danny, Bright Ahiyadaki, and of course, the technical man, John Flagbo, Joseph Amancho, Abed Mensah, and Amankwa. All you guys did great job to get this show on. Of course, the whole show was put together by Isaac Koshi Ameko and Samuel Owusu-Entwi, and of course, your director, Richard Bruce Lamte, technical producer, God knows, Bodo. My name is Bright Nanam4. I'm grateful for your time tonight. Stay right here, 6 a.m. We're back on New Day. Good night. See you tomorrow morning.